I was thinking about making a move over to Rembrandt.
Over to what?
Rembrandt. I don't know about Phil.
What does that mean?
I'm just getting bored with Colgate. Like I feel like if I'm
I don't think I know what you're talking about.
Rembrandt?
I mean, by context clues, I think I know you're talking about toothpaste.
Toothpaste, yes, yeah. You don't know the white bottle Rembrandt? I'm thinking about. Because I think if I'm gonna switch, it's not just gonna be Crest. It's not. I mean, my teeth aren't gonna fall out. Like
I don't know.
I want to know what these dentist offices are using. I think they're using Rembrandt. Personally, I mean, doesn't it look like a high brand, a high end?
It
Rembrandt.
looks like something that like Elon Musk decided I'm gonna get into the dental game, and
it does look like high price toothpaste,
doesn't it? I love the simplicity of the look. I really do. It's a beaut. I like it. It almost because it gives me like, is that? Let's see, they've got the Rembrandt teeth. They've got the whitening. I'm thinking about leaning towards that one. That one's a little aggressive on price, but I don't know.
I used to use the Sensodyne because they did good advertising, and I had sensitive teeth, and apparently it like does nothing for you. I had no idea.
Just like I found out studies of there's lies that when you're dead tired, you've been running or something, putting your head over your hands over your head like we've been taught for years. That doesn't.
But that's fake.
Yeah, I've read some stories because I've always been a grab my knees guys. I've always gone down.
It's a sign of weakness, according to our coaches, right?
Well, yeah, they always told hands up, and that never worked for me. It never worked. Every time I went and grabbed shorts, like that's what that would now. Now I'm pulling it in, but studies that doesn't work.
Huh.
I personally would probably believe it counters. It's a counter act to it. Anyway, fellas, I just can I ask this question? What in the hell got into George Karlaftis? Why did he do that to that boy? Why did George just absolutely decapitate Kadarius Toney? I mean, listen, I mean, Kadarius has pissed me off a time or two, and I imagine his I mean, it's like before the play started, George just sat there and saw all those drops and saw those drops against the Lions. And George, everything just came to him right before the play happened. He saw that lineup off sides. He saw that drop into an interception for the Patriots and then just came over and just took him off his feet. They didn't have pads on. Like, no, there was nobody. They didn't even have pads on. And he took him off his feet. Like, I'm like, George, man. I'll be honest, I didn't take George for an a-hole type, but that was an a-hole maneuver right there. I didn't know George had that in him. That was wild. They even turned El Travador back into Travis.
I actually respect it. And I think in that moment, George Karlaftis had already become, a guy that fans kind of appreciated for the way that he plays. I think fans appreciate him even more today than they did before this.
Damn,
because
man.
I also
hate Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, correct. Exactly.
Because all the fans have all wanted to line up and do that.
Every single one of us at one point last year said, man, what I would do to just get out on that field and lay a hit on Kadarius Toney.
I don't agree with that. I did not do that.
Okay. I don't believe you. I also think it is noteworthy that none of his teammates were particularly interested in sticking up for him the moment that it happened. It took a little while.
It took a little while. El Travador walked over there. He walked 25 yards on his behalf.
Yeah, and he was the only one. You'll notice there ain't nobody else that's like running over there to help him out. Nobody else was getting on their horse. It was just Travis.
I don't believe that, Brandon. You don't. It was too far away for you to know that.
It's
too far away. You wanted to see it that way. You wanted to see it the way that nobody came and helped him. You stop it.
Kelsey has just grown up since last year's training camp when he was throwing punches at teammates, and now he's in a mature relationship, and so step it up for Kadarius and a moment of need.
He saw Toney throw the football. Was like, hey man, been there. Understand what you're going through right now. Even though it was like 70 degrees outside, it was the perfect week to start up training camp. No pads on yet. Like they're not exhausted. They've only been staying in these dorms for a few days. I loved it. I appreciate George Karlaftis doing what we all felt needed to happen for Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, Trey's an a-hole, and Creed. Think somebody could have done something. He just fired that ball over. Now Travis had to come over and get him. I just didn't know. I didn't know he had that in him. I really didn't. That would have been the last person I thought.
I mean, are you rewatching it? You're seeing what I'm saying, right?
Nobody
else.
I'm not rewatching it. I'm just saying it could have. I'm glad it didn't just get too crazy and physical. It's just come on, man. You can't do that. I mean, that was messed up. He just lost it. He just snapped. I don't know what happened to him back there. God, Lord George.
I make my jokes about Kadarius Toney, and I have made it known I'm not his biggest fan on the football field.
Sorry, this year, if I know you'll make a turn at some point, like you did on McCole Hardman. Somehow you start feeling better about McCole Hardman last year. Sky Moore, is he getting you? Is he making you feel
he's done,
better?
Dude? He's done. It's over.
You see that no look pass he caught? My goodness!
Did you see the other 12 that he's either bobbled or been just completely engulfed by a defender at the line of scrimmage? It's been bad. It's been a really bad start to camp. I don't think
those weren't all his fault. But go ahead.
Okay,
Sky's getting cut. It's good. There's no chance Sky Moore's making this roster.
It's over. I'm in on this Kadarius Toney to running back thing, man. Like, I think it's going to work. And I think there's a chance the Chiefs are going to unlock him in a way that, like, I didn't know was possible in this offense post last season. I was really worried about what it was going to look like with Toney at training camp this year, because I was like, people are going to get excited. And then he's going to be the same guy that he was going into last year, and he's going to get more playing time than he deserves, and it's going to result in the same kind of stuff that we saw a year ago. Putting him at running back in specific situations has a chance to highlight all of the pluses of the Kadarius Toney experience without having those negative assets exposed. So you can put him in at running back. So here's how. You put him in like a semi Jerick McKinnon role. Bring him in on third downs occasionally. If it's like 3rd and 4, put him in at running back, just a quick out, the simplest possible route that you can do from the backfield. First of all, not going to line up off sides. That huge plus, huge positive heading into this year. Second of all,
it did it one time.
Hard to screw up that kind of a route. And third of all, you're getting him into space. He's not dealing with press coverage. Like, he doesn't have to do the actual wide receiver stuff. He's just, hey, be good at running routes for a running back. That is a very different bar to clear than what he had to clear when he was a wide receiver. I think he can do it.
How does he have to catch the ball? Does he have to catch it
He'll probably drop a couple. That's fine.
Okay.
You figure it out, right? Like, running backs, generally speaking, aren't the best receivers either. He'll be fine. I think what you're going to see is they're going to use him in gadget roles around the goal line. So, like, second and goal from the 5. You're not going to put in a goal line back there. It's not a Pacheco spot. That's a spot for Kadarius Toney, where you're going to go to him in the spot that you otherwise would have gone to Jerick McKinnon in previous seasons. Somebody has to replace some of that production. They've got to have somebody that can come in and help them on third downs. And, dude, I know you love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. It is not going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That is not his role. They need somebody to emerge as that running back for them. I see no reason it cannot be Kadarius Toney. I think he finally found the role for him in an offense, and it took him 4 years to get here.
It's curious, and I know there was a lot made this week about, like, does this actually matter? Is this a real thing, or is this just like, early training camp? We're just like testing things out kind of thing. And I don't think that there's really a significant role in play here that way for Kadarius Toney. It feels like that's we're just going to dust it off, and maybe he gets a couple of touches a game that way or something like that, or to set up a mismatch. But as strictly a pass catching back out of the backfield, like that is a lot more interesting than like actually trying to give him handoffs or something. Because I don't think he's breaking tackles or anything like that. Like we know he can make guys miss in space, but like as a pass catcher, that is more intriguing than strictly as a running back. But also, I don't trust him to pass block. I don't trust him to do any of the things that you require a running back to do. So if it's strictly like in a pass catching role that they could try to scheme him up and get him moving or something, then that's a little interesting. But again, how many times a game are you going to do that?
Bingo. That's where I want to try. I do. All right. We've said here, we watched some of the moments, and that son of a gun reeled us in with that Jacksonville game. All right. He reeled us in with just some of the damn, like he looks like junk play waiting to happen
for a while.
I know it. Listen, yes, I've even gone back and seen some old Giants stuff. Like he can reel you in with what he could do. The Super Bowl, the kickoff return. He 2 years ago against the Eagles made a big play and made chunk plays. But there's too many things that he has to do in which I have to trust him in a major way that I can't do. See, I know you can't put him in on third downs or however many times you do. He's not going to get the ball every time. You can't telegraph it like that every time he's in the game he touches the ball. So that at other times he can't. There is no possible way in hell that I'm allowing him to pass protect. None. No way, because of who he has to protect, and he will probably get the wrong person. Right? No, he won't even chip. He won't. You're not sure that you can trust him, that he will hold his assignment. You know it.
I don't trust he's trying to hit anybody in that situation.
Trying to hit anybody, or even if he was, that he would know who it would be. All right, like you can't. To me, you can't do that. To me, if he's on this team, it can't just be he's now a running back. It's like, yo, man, we'll use him for individual games that we see game plans and we see there's a chance that we could do something with him in some sort of a gadget play way. That it could be gadget play lined up as a receiver. It could be gadget play lined up as a back. I want to see. Ooh, can he be like Cordell Patterson, whatever his name is? Can he be like that? Can he do that? Can he do some of that? No, I don't want to give him the ball. I think he'll fumble. I don't want to enough for that. Because that's my question to you, BK, as you've just made this up in your head. How many, I'm not even saying touches. How many snaps do you think he's out there?
As a running back per game?
If he moves to the running back spot, 15,
10,
20, 10 to 15?
10 per game. That feels right.
Yeah, that's nervous time. Because
it is like when you start breaking down like the potential of the offense and the other weapons that are on the field, and then putting him into the mix of it and adding. I'm talking myself into it again. No, I'm not going to buy it. I'm not.
Yeah.
I refuse.
Yeah, okay.
Dude, imagine it though. Allow yourself to imagine it for a second. You're in a red zone situation, right? I think the red zone's where this gets the most interesting. Like you guys want to talk about what does it look like on 3rd and 4, where it's not an obvious running down, but you want to get your passing game back into the game there.
That's right, because when you brought up Jarrett McKinnon, he was probably the best pass protecting back.
They don't have one of those guys on this team is the problem. Like right now, you don't have a pass protector. There isn't one because Pacheco's not very good at it. Clyde is it's not his role. And like Deneric Prince, we've never seen it. So I have no idea if he can do that or not. So as I go down the list of candidates for that role, somebody has to be in on 3rd downs. I don't think they want to have Pacheco just being a 3-down back for 17 games. That dude is too valuable for the postseason to be having that many reps over the course of the regular season. So somebody's going to do this. And at this point, like, as long as he's got to show you that he's able to pass protect. So if he can, if he's willing, if he's able, go ahead and put him out there. But red zone, right? You're at about the 5-yard line. You Kadarius Toney in the backfield. You got Travis Kelce at tight end. You got Hollywood Brown on one side. You got Rashee Rice on the other side. You got Xavier Worthy out there as well. You're telling me as a defense that's not bleeping terrifying? The speed that's on the field, the potential for Worthy just going on a quick out, Kelce being the menace that he is in the red zone, Rashee got to get over the middle, Hollywood Brown, his speed that he brings to the table, and now I got to worry about a linebacker covering one-on-one with Kadarius Toney or a safety one-on-one with Kadarius Toney. Good luck. It's a matchup nightmare, dude. And so that's what I think it really presents is in the red zone. Good luck to opposing defensive coordinators. I don't know how you match up with that. I really don't.
Yeah. I just think that could be in a certain package that is not used a lot, because like it is really easy to just imagine the positive things, but I can also imagine hey man, what if he goes the wrong way? Or what if he what if he makes these mistakes that he is prone to make, both mentally and physically out there? That and he gets exposed, and it happens a lot. Like if you're saying, all right, man, against the Ravens, man, we see something we could use a package like you just described in the red zone for like a play, but that not be like something that is normal, something that it is used a ton. That to me is you can't trust him enough to know exactly what he's supposed to do mentally and to perform what he is supposed to do enough to have him out there.
I just feel like there's not that much that you're going to be asking him to do.
Okay.
Like it's going to be off tackle runs,
like line up on side, like line your feet up, on side, like stuff like that.
There's less concern about that because he's always going to be off the line of scrimmage in this scenario.
I'm just giving you an example of
you're
him doing something that you're not giving him a ton.
I don't have a retort to what you're saying, so the only thing I can say is the specific issue that you're discussing no longer is a problem.
God to honest, Steve, because BK slid into fantasy land with this thing.
No, dude, I think this can work.
I'm not gonna lie. The red zone could work.
I
feel like the red zone is the best spot to deploy it.
Honest to God, Serda, if you just take a deep breath and not just get yourself completely football horny on what could be with those matchups, how many snaps on offense would you feel comfortable with in a game that Kadarius Toney gets? Like where you feel comfortable. Where is your line?
Snaps, but not like necessarily just snaps.
Snaps. My line's 5.
20.
In a game?
20. I think 10 is fine. 10 snaps.
I'm at 5.
3 touches a game.
I'm at 5 and maybe some special teams.
20 snaps, 5 touches per game.
20 snaps.
Of those 20, give me 10 of them in the backfield, 10 of them lined up at wide receiver. We can test drive this while Rashee Rice is suspended, if he's going to be suspended. I don't know what's going on there, but early on in the season. And while you're kind of working, we know how this is going to work. Xavier Worthy's not going to be at 100% in terms of his snap count early on in the season. So Kadarius will be getting some of those snaps, even though it's going to frustrate the hell out of all of us. Yeah, man. But let's see what it looks like. And if he fails, he gets taken off the field. You lose your privileges to be in the gadget role. But for right now, he's your new DeAnthony Thomas, man. He's your new Dexter McCluster. But he's more talented than either of those two guys. And you're going to be able to use him in very specific situations. He's going to know exactly what his role is this time around. He's healthy this year, which is a vast change from where he was at this point last year. He finally made it through practice 1, which is already an improvement without getting hurt from a year ago. It could work, man. This is the first full healthy preseason that he's had with the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember that.
And the issues that they had in the red zone last year and how frustrating that was, put all the options on the table in the red zone this year. Make it a point to where they got to account for everybody, not just Travis Kelce in the red zone.
Yeah, get your guy Jared Wiley out there too. Whenever Rashee Rice is not there in the early portion of the season, just take him off the field, put Jared Wiley on there. Let's go.
Yeah, everything you described just there, BK, of all this sounded like a McCole Hardman role. That's everything that you described. All of that stuff sound like that could be a McCole Hardman thing.
McCole's jet sweeps. That's different. McCole lines up in the slot. You could throw him out there. Yeah, put him in this mix as well because maybe you do the jet sweep motion.
I'm just talking about
Follow me here, man. You've got
stop.
jet.
Stop! You're gonna be ashamed of yourself. This is
you got McCole on the left side coming out of the slot.
Yeah,
he's gonna go with a quick motion. You got under center on this snap. It's like second and goal from the 5. McCole is gonna fake the end around going one direction. And you're going to have lined up in a single back formation behind Patrick Mahomes. You've got Kadarius Toney, who's going to go off tackle to the left. So you've got the whole defense flowing right with McCole to try to stop the end around.
With Worthy and Brown. Get those guys moving and get them in motion.
You sound like a gambling addict that's trying to explain a parlay of 9 that you're trying to put together. Like, what is wrong with you? Dude. You're going to tell me you have gone from last year not wanting him to get offensive snaps at wide receiver, and now this team adding Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, and now you wanted to get 10? You wanted to get 10 snaps at wide receiver? Stop this.
Just 10. I'm not saying it's got to be a lot, but you got to mix it up. You got to make sure that if you're going to do this, you can't immediately, like when he comes into the game, the defense can't know for sure that he's going to be lining up in the backfield. So you got to mix it up a little bit. You give him a little bit of time at wide receiver. You give him a little bit of time at running back. That way they can't match up 1-for-1 with a corner coming in or a slot guy coming in to be in the big nickel position,
Yeah, my man gets 5 snaps. And he earns the more. He earns more. He earns more when he shows that he can be trusted to be out there.
Over under 6 touchdowns this year for Kadarius Toney.
Under. You two. You are
total.
You two are ridiculous. You two are absolutely ridiculous.
But the red zone thing could work. Like I could totally see a path where that is successful.
And BK, you're saying it with confidence. I didn't want to see him on the field last year as a receiver. They've added 2 receivers that are clearly ahead of him, and you want 10 snaps. Now, it's just stop it, Jesus. Just stop it. Just stop it, man.
I've never been more out on a player and been more in by one piece of news. Never.
Yeah. You're like it's one of the most incredible things I've ever seen. You want him to now play wide receiver more than you've ever anticipated wanting him to play wide receiver more because they talked about moving him to running back.
It's like when you've got a pitcher who you really don't trust their fastball, but you've got another pitch that tunnels off of that fastball, and to throw the pitch that you really like, you've got to be able to see the fastball. It's got to be something that the pitcher uses. And that's what I'm talking about here. Like, if you're going to get the changeup that is Kadarius Toney in the backfield, you also have to live with his fastball. And unfortunately, his fastball is 83 miles an hour with no movement, and it's him lining up at wide receiver. And you just live with it. You just eat those 5 to 7 snaps a game.
All right, I want to talk about people who are going to get snaps on this team, like real snaps on this team, not this mythical Kadarius Toney who literally the guy you just enjoyed him getting knocked on his ass by somebody without pads on, and now you want him to get 23 snaps a game. All right, somebody who we do need to pay attention to. And I know, Serda, you may have the latest, and I've heard some people talk about our guy Nate Taylor has talked about it. How worried and concerned are you getting now about this Justin Reid situation? How nervous are you getting with somebody when you think about the loss of the guys in that secondary? I know we talk about Snead, but Mike Edwards, one of the safeties, is going there that played a big role back there. You start to look at that secondary. How concerned are you about this Justin Reid who could miss a big chunk of the preseason?
So I was listening to Nate Taylor the other day, and he was talking about this, and he said, hey, listen, the Justin Reid thing is real. He's going to miss a decent amount of time here, and there's a chance he basically misses the entirety of the preseason. And I was like, whoa, well, that's new. We came into camp not knowing that Justin Reid was hurt, and now there's a chance that he misses the entirety of training camp. Like, that is a huge deal, man. I think we have been underselling the importance of Justin Reid to this defense over the past couple of seasons. To me, like, Chris Jones is the number one guy on this defense. And I think last year, the number 2 guy on the defense was, I mean, you could make the case for either corner. And I thought third was Justin Reid. Like, Justin Reid was one of the guys that masked a lot of the deficiencies that would take place elsewhere. He was the guy that made all of the communication work on the back end. Brian Cook goes down, they don't miss a beat because Justin Reid is still there. Him not being there makes me super nervous, man, because you don't know what he's going to look like when he does return, if he's going to be at 100% early in the season. And it just, like, the moment that I saw this news, I realized, oh, I'm more concerned about the depth in the secondary this year than I think I realized. Because then after that, you see Najee Johnson going down in practice for precautionary reasons, them taking him out because he's coming back from that knee injury. Jalen Watson starts on PUP. Like, it just, man, you get real thin real quick where suddenly Echo Boyedo, did I pronounce that correctly? That dude's getting starting reps right now with the Chiefs at training camp. And that's concerning to me. Jaden Hicks, a 4th-round rookie who they said, like, hey, he looks like a rookie right now in OTAs. He's starting right now for the Chiefs. There are still players that are available in free agency that can be considered upgrades. I don't know what the outlook is right now on Reed or Watson. They certainly know more than we do in that regard. But if they view these as legitimate long-term issues, the Chiefs should be considering what their options are right now in free agency. And there are some pretty good ones out there.
Yeah, I've still been just touting the secondary because, like, I think that they still have a lot of talent and a lot of potential. But yeah, all of a sudden, that was before I knew Jalen Watson was going to start training camp injured and Justin Reid was gonna show up with a major injury. And now, like, everything that Spags said this week and just kind of the questions that they've kind of been taking on Justin Reid, like, it kind of seems like they're like, yeah, we'll get him back eventually, but we have to move forward with the guys that we have and get those guys in a role. And, like, I do think Justin Reid has been really underrated for the Chiefs. I feel like it took him some time to really settle into his role and be comfortable with everything that Steve Spagnuolo was asking him to do. And last season, he finally did that. And it helps that they were so good across the board last year. But he's a really important player and a player that I think Chiefs fans do undervalue and think like, oh, they still have guys back there. And it's kind of concerning because I really like Jamari Connor and Brian Cook, and we'll see what they have in Jaden Hicks. But all of a sudden you go from a safety group that I thought was going to be a major strength for them, and you remove the veteran presence, the guy that's really leading that room. And now you're really young. And now I'm a little scared because you don't have guys that you can necessarily rely on.
Well, I think there's 2 things to it. One, first off, they just, even with Justin Reid healthy, and now it just becomes even bigger, they just feel really short back there. And I think it magnifies it when you're going to move Connor into the nickel position, because now you're taking him out of the potential to be a back half safety when you have him playing nickel, which I'm excited to see what he does there. That has been a big money position for Steve Spagnuolo. L'Jarius Sneed first. Then, I mean, last year McDuffie became first team All-Pro coming out of that spot. So, I mean, one, they feel thin regardless, because if you say, all right, they got Brian Cook, they got Justin Reid, you feel pretty good there. And then at that point, you feel like, oh, well, we can bring Hicks slowly to where kind of like Brian Cook and some of those young guys were when they first got there. Then we're moving towards mid to late part of the season. Those guys were ready to step in and play a major role. Like, they weren't ready. Like Brian Cook and Watson and them, they weren't ready to play like they did against the Bengals in the AFC Championship game in week 1, right? And neither is Hicks from Washington State. Like, they're going to need to want to bring him along slowly, and I just don't think they have enough personnel to do that, especially when there's an injury. And so now, because there's an injury now, I think Spags probably has to change a lot. You probably now have to bring Connor back from where you want him and play somebody else in the slot, which means somebody else is going to have to go to the outside. So it just feels like they are short at that position, even if Justin Reid was healthy.
And the other thing is, like, last year they could do so many creative things because they had guys that had been in the system for a while. So, like, guys could start to build on it, right? It's like going to a 101 class and then you continue to build over your time while you're in college. Well, a lot of the dudes that were in the secondary last year, that was their second, third, fourth year in this system. Yep. And so they were at like this super elevated level of what they were understanding within the Steve Spagnuolo systems. They could do some new creative different things coverage wise last year that they weren't doing previously. And now you're having to kind of tamp that back down again. That was always going to be the case because when you lose L'Jarius Sneed and the guy that is so versatile that can do a little bit of everything, you have to kind of peel things back. But with Justin Reid out and Jaden Hicks now being one of the guys that's in the starting secondary for a while, I have to imagine that guy's already overflowing with information. He's got to be confused as hell as to what he's doing on any given play. Justin Reid knows what everybody is doing on any given play. So there's a big difference in what you're able to accomplish early on in the season, early on in preseason with a guy like that as one of your starters. And Ron, have you looked at what they have the first 3 weeks of the season? You can't start slow in the secondary. You got Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. You got the Cincinnati Bengals with that passing offense. And then Atlanta, which is no longer like the Atlanta of old where they were running the football 50 times a game. They've got Kirk Cousins. They've got a couple of good receivers. They've got Kyle Pitts, who's going to be a nightmare over the middle of the field for safeties. It's not an easy start to the season if you get off to a sluggish start with your secondary pieces.
I'm wondering from you two, where you all on this? Like I said, it feels like they're short. Would you be more inclined for Brett Veach to add one of these corners that are out here? And what Xavier Howard is out there, Stephon Gilmore is out there, Patrick Peterson is out there, Adoree Jackson, or one of those corners? Or would you be more inclined that they'd add one of the safeties that are out there? I know Justin Simmons is out there. I know we just saw some go. Eddie Jackson just went to the Ravens. I think Jamal Adams also went. But what is the position you feel would make most sense for them to add if they want to add a piece in the secondary? Because it feels like they're short one of them. Like they could use, like I think they could use either one. If they had added another safety, they could go a direction. If they added a Justin Simmons, they could go a direction. If they added a Gilmore or a whoever, they could go a direction.
I'd be happy with them signing either player to add depth to the secondary, but if I had to pick one, I would pick Justin Simmons because Justin Simmons was excellent last season. Like he missed games early on in the year, and that was when the Broncos defense like just totally fell apart, and they had that game where they got smoked by the Dolphins. And then Justin Simmons came back, and the Broncos defense was actually like really good for a long stretch at the end of the year, despite them being a bad football team. And it was strictly because Justin Simmons was just playing like a superstar. And I think he still has that, but like the safety market's kind of weird right now and he hasn't signed anywhere. But I think you could still find serviceable ways to use Stephon Gilmore. And I think the Chiefs have been better at getting a lot out of their corners than necessarily their safeties. But if we're talking about just adding a talented player who would fit right in and be a stud for you right away, it's Justin Simmons.
Here's where Justin Simmons lined up last year, according to Pro Football Focus. Defensive line 13 times, in the box 230 times, slot corner 150 times, free safety 595 times. He lines everywhere. And the reason why I bring that up is because he is the exact kind of piece that I would love to see in a Steve Spagnuolo defense. I'm totally with Serda. Like I'm just going for the upside play here. The Chiefs play a lot of three safety looks anyway. So even if you get a fully healthy, fully formed version of Justin Reid back, there will be plenty of snaps available for somebody like Justin Simmons this year. I'm shocked he's still available. I've always thought he was an excellent player.
It's got to be money.
I guess, but the Chiefs, like, if it is money, they've got money to spend right now, man. Like, they got rid of the L'Jarius Sneed contract and never really went out and made a splash with the money that they had remaining. They've still got, according to Over the Cap, about $15 million in cap space. So if you wanted to do something like an incentive-laden type of a deal, you could make that happen with him. I would go do that. Like I would do that today, honestly. I think it would make a lot of sense for what they need in their defense. And it makes everything feel much more comfortable if you have a guy like that ready to go in the backfield.
Let me go debate culture with you. I think you're both wrong. No. No. Listen. I get where you're coming from, and I think that's another thing. I think Justin Simmons is the superior player of anybody that we would name at safety or corner. For me, it would be Gilmore. Just because, as you said, like I feel good with Justin Reid, Brian Cook, and Shamari Connor, and then I do think you did use a near or if not premium pick, a pretty good pick on the Hicks kid that you have some feeling on, because if you bring in Justin Simmons, so now he's like the fifth safety. Like there's probably not going to be a lot of room of him being able to grow to get on.
I'm okay with year one.
No, I'm sure you're okay with that, but to them, I could see them saying we got these three and we grow and bring him along, and he'd be the fourth one. For me, I would go Gilmore just because, like I feel like I know. I feel like I got a pretty good idea about Joshua Williams and Watson, and. Like, I don't know how much better they're going to get. I don't know what Hicks is going to do. I like to see Hicks on the field more. I don't know what he's going to do. And I think it allows you, if you want to, which I think you could if you had a Gilmore, to put your all-pro slot corner back at slot corner. And we know he can be great there. We know that would allow him to be able to do that, and you're closer to where you were last year, and so that's to me why I would go with the corner, even though I think Justin Simmons is a superior player over there. It's just the ability to be able to put McDuffie back there, where he's not just good but great, like that. That's tempting to me.
I think the other thing for me with the safety position versus corner is I just think you have more outs. And what I mean by that is like you have more opportunities to find a legitimate starter at corner than you do at safety. If Reed is not 100%, or if he were to go back down to injury later on this season, I don't think you have another starter. Like, I don't think Hicks is that. I don't think Deion Bush is that. I know Tyree Gillespie isn't that. And I don't know if Shamari Connor is going to be a full-time safety in this defense. I think he fits best in that kind of early career Legarius type of a role where he's kind of a box player for the most part. So I just don't know that you have another guy that can step up in that capacity. At corner, I think Najee Johnson, like last year, they had real hopes that he could be a starter for them. I think Jalen Watson would be fine. If that dude's healthy, I have no worries whatsoever about him being a starting caliber corner in this league. We've seen it before. He's been it on a Super Bowl caliber team. I'd be fine with it. And then Joshua Williams is another guy that he makes me nervous at times, but his upside is still really high. He was the guy they drafted ahead of Jalen Watson for a reason back in that 22 draft. So between those three players, if you are able to piece things together to find one starting caliber guy, I think you're okay. And you've got the depth there that it will eventually be okay if you trust the health for Watson and Johnson. At safety, I don't have that. So that would be the other reason that I would lean more towards the safety than a corner.
Yeah, well, I think they definitely need to add something. They feel short in that secondary, and I think we talked about it. It's becoming more of at least uncertainty than maybe some people are really talking about, because there's a lot of things up in the air that you don't know about, right? Like now that Justin Reid is injured, you don't know about when he's going to be back. I know about McDuffie, but like I think Brian Cook, I think I know pretty much about like that. That's about it in terms of sureness of what you know. One thing I do know is I know that there's no chance in hell that Hollywood Brown and Xavier Worthy, the 48 seconds we've been able to see Xavier Worthy, there's no way in hell that has slowed your excitement level at all. BK is turning into Serda. like Steve, I think you need to pick it up a bit because I get excited over any wide receiver type of deal, and BK is taking
fine. This offense is going to be better than the 2018 offense.
He is.
I don't actually believe that, but
I'm gonna walk right through that. Yeah,
but it is going to be really good. It's going to be the best Chiefs offense we've seen in a while.
If nothing else, it's going to be the most fun Chief offense that we've seen in a while. Like that, I think we sleep on how consistently good the 2022 Chiefs offense was with Juju. Man, they were as efficient as any offense in the league that year. And it wasn't super fun to watch because it wasn't as many explosives or anything like that, but they were just moving down the field as often as any team in the league. Whew! Did you guys see that deep ball from Mahomes to Xavier Worthy? Worthy absolutely shredded Brian Cook going down the middle of the field. And more importantly, he tracked the football. I haven't seen a Chiefs wide receiver track the football deep like you saw from Xavier Worthy on that throw on the one play that he was able to connect with Mahomes because he's been sick basically from the moment that he caught that ever since.
Sick, hamstring, who knows?
Yeah. I fell in love the moment that I saw that ball leave Mahomes' hands, realized where it was going, and had confidence that he was going to catch it because that hasn't happened since Tyreek Hill left this team. There's no other wide receiver that I've trusted on that specific kind of a route.
Oh,
it was unbelievable.
Oh, God. Steve, stop. You know.
Ron.
You know.
Yeah. You're going to fall for this.
Listen.
The only reason you haven't yet is because he's only been on the field for one day. If we saw 3 days of this,
listen.
It's over.
Yeah. I'm keeping the snake in the cage with Worthy and Brown, and not in a way that you are. But for me, it is seeing Mahomes be able to kind of get back to seeing the potential of like crazy great plays, like the off platform, draw it up in the dirt stuff. Like that, the element of that part of the game is going to be back, and like I would imagine those guys are working on that right now. Just all right, he rolls out like he did, and you got a guy who, like, because of how boring everything was and how he didn't trust a soul. You forget you have a guy that can roll anywhere on the field and throw it to any place on the field, and you got guys that can move and run away from people. So the element of like Tyreek Hill in like that first game against the Chargers with Mahomes just take a slant and go 75, like that element is back. And then the element of he's in trouble. Now the real stuff starts, as Belichick used to say. Now he's out and he's roaming around, and you got guys that like the big play ability and the ability to see Mahomes show like the magic. I said it earlier this week. I've about reached my quota of watching Mahomes play like Brady. I've reached it. I'm good. I know he can do it. I know he can. I want to see Mahomes play like Mahomes again, and those were just plays right there. We just didn't see it. I mean, it took Juju 58 years to get there, and he was, of course, going to bring somebody with him because of how long it took him. And him and MVS just didn't connect. And if they did, somehow somebody dropped it or they overthrew. That was just weird. So I'm excited. That's the part I'm excited about. I'd like to see Xavier Worthy practice.
It does feel like
consecutive days.
Feels like week one, Mahomes is going to have like a 60-yard bomb to Hollywood Brown or something, and then everybody's just going to be playing deep again. But they actually have answers for that now. And
now you bring in Rashee Rice.
Now you bring in Rashee Rice and Travis Kelce, and maybe mix in Jared Wiley here and there.
Say that last name again, Jared Wiley.
And then, okay. Well, they can't keep picking up 10, 12 yards every play. Like, we got to do something else. We got to play up closer, and then you go deep again. Like.
And that's when you bring in Kadarius Toney. Is that when you bring in Kadarius Toney? Is that
because you're at the 5-yard line.
Inside the 5, absolutely. But this is the first time in a long time they've got answers for all the different ways the defense can try to attack them and slow.
The other thing they have is a running back that can exploit the two deep safeties. Like if you're going two deep shell, the way to get out of that is to run it or to just like continue to throw it underneath. And the Chiefs can do both of those things now. Like they've got, to Serda's point, they have answers. You've got Isaiah Pacheco who can be that physical inside runner. You've got Travis Kelce or Rashee Rice who can go over the middle of the field and get into those zones. And now if you've got the two deep safeties, it's harder to clamp down on those two guys. Covering them with linebackers is a complete nightmare. Like, good luck with that. And you've got Xavier Worthy who can beat you over the top if you go back up to single high. You've got Hollywood Brown who can either go over the top or do the stuff that you were talking about, Ron, that we saw, not to the same degree. Nobody's Tyreek Hill, but he can take a slant and gain you 30 yards on it, right? Or he can.
Yeah, but he's capable of taking it 70. Like, I mean, he
exactly. And so, like, those are the things, those are the elements that they just didn't have in the offense last year. Everything was within 10 yards because they thought they were going to have Kadarius Toney who could go down the field. They thought they were going to have my guy, formerly, Sky Moore, who could have done some of those things. And neither of them lived up to that billing. And what we have seen is that Hollywood Brown can actually do that stuff. He's shown it to you at the NFL level. And it appears, based on one practice and one throw and what he did in college, Xavier Worthy's up to the task.
Hey, man, I'm not going to sit here and let
just send them both deep.
I'm not going to sit here and let you just kiss and kill Sky Moore like that. I'm just not like, you're not going to. No, I'm not going to let you. No.
R.I.P.
Don't do that.
He's gone.
I would say that we would miss him, but I don't think I'm going to be honest. I'll miss the hope. I'll miss what I thought he was going to be. Nico Remigio now is that hope. He serves that hope.
Never translated to the NFL level for Sky Moore.
You got him not making the team, and you got 23 snaps from Kadarius Toney.
And I've got Nico Remigio making the team.
Woo! God, man. This is going to be fun. We are out.